All right. Good evening, afternoon, depending on where you are. Welcome to our weekly setup. And I so much appreciate everyone looking to find what their feral spring side quest is there by picking their birthday month and their favorite color. So mine is my feral spring side quest is smuggling stinky snails. I thought that was kind of funny. So yeah, that's just kind of a fun little something that I found there when I was doing a wee bit of bloom scrolling, not doom scrolling, but bloom scrolling. Um, so kind of fun. So welcome. So excited to see lots of returning folks. Is there anybody who's new? This is your first social with us, your first time maybe at a weekly social. We want to make sure to welcome you, um, say hello, and get you ready to set up your week there in your journal. So my name is Maya, if we haven't met, and I am here in Denver, Colorado, where I think it was about 72 degrees today. And at about 1 o'clock in the morning, it's going to drop down to like 30 degrees and it's going to start snowing. And so there's supposed to be some snow overnight. So it'll be interesting to see how that goes. But then next week, we're going to be back in the 80s. So it has been kind of a really wacky winter. And now we're rolling into spring. And it's just, I never know what to wear. I'm just always like layers, 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 right? I always have to have a sweater with me and then short sleeves and then just the whole thing. It's oh George, you're headed up to 103 this week. Oh my goodness, that is just, I just don't know. Yes, and Nikki says spring is Friday. Yay, spring, official spring is here. Who knows what the weather is going to bring? I do not know. um just a few little tips here. Make sure that you set that chat to everyone, that little blue box. It does have an obnoxious um, tendency on Zoom to go flip back to host and panelist. And when it does that, the only people that see what you write are myself and my fabulous co host, Jennifer O. She is coming to you from Texas. She said she was out working in her garden today. And they're supposed to get a little bit cooler, not cold like us, but they're supposed to get a little cooler tomorrow. So we're all kind of dealing with some of the wacky stuff. And she said she's putting out the hummingbird feeders. It might be, I don't know if it's too early to put out hummingbird feeders here or not, but I do love to put those out and see all of our fun birds. She says she's a hot mess, so she's going to stay off the camera. She, again, was outside working in her garden. So she's like, oh, I'm not going to hop on the camera today. That's okay. I did want to mention a lot of times we don't necessarily spend a lot of time on this, but I did want to mention page 39, since the middle of the month 15th is tomorrow, and there's this currently page, and a lot of folks will say, what am I supposed to do with this currently page? And so the idea is you are writing down something that you are currently loving, feeling, enjoying, anticipating, wishing, reading, watching, and planning. So the idea is that just kind of a little snapshot in time, kind of what's going on. Some people like to use it. They will, since there's 3 lines for each, they will do a loving, like they will do beginning of the month for the first line. They will do middle of the month for the second line, and then they will do the end of the month for the third line. So they have kind of a running list of things that are happening. So I fill it out sometimes I don't. It just kind of depends, but it is kind of a fun little snapshot that you can go back to, and you can do it whenever. Obviously, you do not have to do it on the 15th. You can write in this whenever. It's just kind of a nice little place to save some different things, just kind of a little scrapbooky memory kind of page. Yeah, and a lot of people like to do like what they're reading. Sometimes I will do what we're reading, or I'll do like if I'm knitting, that kind of thing. So anyway, so just wanted to mention that in case you were wondering. Nope, we have not done the mind map yet. You are right on time. We are just talking about page 39, just so folks know kind of what that little page is all about. And then just a reminder really quickly about the community guidelines. We want to make sure that you're kind and courteous to yourself and others. This is a safe and supportive space. So no promotions or spam. We respect everyone's privacy. No hate speech or bullying. We limit those repetitive product and accessory questions. Any of those customer care inquiries, go to hello@silkandsonder.com. Just so you know, Jennifer and I do not have access to your account, so we can't fix things like billing addresses or updating credit card information, that kind of thing. So all those go to hello@silkandsonder.com. Just remember that these socials are a tool to help elevate your emotional health through the power of community, but you are responsible for your own emotions, well-being, and decisions. So if there's ever anything that we're doing that just is not your jam, you're just not feeling it, you want to work on something else, you totally can. There is no right or wrong way to do these socials. This is you signed up for an hour to give yourself some time to work on this journal. So do what you want to do with this hour, right? And as we're digging into this month, and we are in the middle of this month, our theme of the month is change. And I think it's been really helpful. It's also very appropriate with spring coming, right? Thinking about change. Remember that you have the power to change your life. Just start with changing your thoughts. And I think change works out really well because last month, our theme was belief. And so we were talking about changing our thoughts through our beliefs. And now we're talking about changing and putting those changes in place. And then remember, the secret of change is to focus all of your energy not on fighting the old, but on building the new. So I've seen lots of folks talking about putting some changes in place. Sometimes it's changes maybe that they didn't actually initiate. They were changes that were maybe thrust upon them, but really thinking about, instead of fighting the change, I'm going to go with the flow and I'm going to build on what is new. And then any change, even a change that's for the better, is always accompanied by discomforts, right? Any kind of change, it kind of rattles us a little bit. Some changes are more scratchy than others, but just knowing that there's always going to be that discomfort, even when it's a good change, and just being able to take that into account and embrace the new and really work on what change is going to look like for you. So our agenda for today is we are going to do the mind map. So we always do a little mind map activity at the beginning of every weekly social where we give you a couple little questions to dig a little bit into that theme. Then we're going to do our rosebud thorn, which is over on page 44. And then we are going to do our weekly setup pages, which are on page 46 and 47. So I will be showing you different examples of things that different folks have done. It's always good to take some screenshots so you can look back and refer if there was something you wanted to remember. Also like to remind you that all these socials are recorded. They are on our YouTube channel, so you can always watch them again later if you missed something and you want to go back and remember that. Just know that the chat will not be there. It is only for you when you're alive, right? That's the benefit of being live. And then if you've been with me, you know, I always use these two little cartoons to illustrate a couple of points. The first one says there's room for you here just as you are. If things are going great and you want to celebrate, we love to celebrate. Things are rough, things are a little bit rocky, and you want to kind of vent a little bit or share some stressful things that are happening. We're here for that too. Life is not all rainbows and kittens and puppies, right? There's the bumps in the road, and we are here for all of that. And then the other one says the way you feel matters, and no emotion you feel is bad or unworthy. So no one can tell you, oh, you shouldn't be mad about that, or oh, that should make you happy. Really, our feelings are just our feelings, and sometimes we are here to name them, to identify them, to acknowledge them, and see and kind of sit with them, because sometimes we don't like to sit with our feelings, right? Especially when they're those scratchy feelings. So we're here for all of that, right? And yes, Nikki's saying, I don't know, puppies can be pretty darn destructive. You are right. So can little kittens as well. So right, and that's the thing, right? Life is all this series of goods and bads and all of that kind of rolled into one. So we're here for all of it, right? So we're using this blank page in our journal. Since this is week 3, this is going to be our 3rd week of the mind map. Some of you probably already have this set up, but if you don't, it's any blank space. You could use the weekly scratch pad. Maybe you want to use that page 3 definitions or the quote page on page 38, or a lot of folks like to use that back page on page 60. Some people just like to use sticky notes. You divide that into those 4 quadrants. Maybe you trace around like a driver's license to make a nice little rectangle, or some cookie cutters or a can lid or something, just to kind of make that section. And then we're peeling back a new layer of our theme to see what's underneath. So again, this week is week 3. If you didn't have a chance to do week 1 and week 2, you can certainly take a picture and work on this later. You do not have to catch up. I will repeat that. You do not have to catch up. If you did not do one or two, you do not have to do them. Start with week 3 and just go from there, right? There's no rules that say you have to catch up. You can if you want to, but don't ever let this be a source of stress or a, oh my gosh, I have to do this, or now I'm behind. You're not behind, right? You're right where you need to be. So just remember that. So we are looking at change as an opportunity, right? And so we're going to think about maybe a hard change that acted as a catalyst in your life. How did it lead to new opportunities or insights? And what did you learn about yourself, right? So here's some examples of kind of how people have set up this page. If you haven't had a chance to set that up already, mine is the one where I used the expense tracker because I track expenses through an app. So I repurposed that to my change mind map. And then I just divided it into, and I divided it into 5 because there will be a bonus one. If there's not a bonus week, you could always use that last little section if you wanted to, for like a wrap up or a kind of a summary of how things went, or you could just divide it into 4, right? Totally, whatever. And I like it just because it gives me lots of nice line space to write. But some people, you can see they did triangles, which is great because that's often the symbol for change or things that need to change. So she's putting those in the triangles. Jennifer's is up in the top. She used these kind of cool little, they're kind of translucent sticky notes and wrote the prompt on the sticky note and then wrote the response underneath. I think that's a great way to do that as well. So again, we're thinking about a hard change that acted as a catalyst, right? How did it lead to new opportunities or insights, and what did you learn about yourself? So for me, I was really thinking about, this time, well, it wasn't actually this time last year, it was in April, where I learned that they were eliminating my job, and I was out of a job June 30th. And so I had to find another job. I had to kind of make some changes, and it was not a change that I was anticipating. It was not, it definitely was a hard change for me. I found a new job relatively quickly, which was definitely a blessing, right? Was lovely, but I do have a longer commute, and so I know a lot of you I've talked about this before. So I've been listening to audiobooks because instead of a 7-mile commute, I have one way. I have a 27-mile commute, and it takes about 30 minutes in the morning and about an hour at night. But that's okay because I've gone through I think about 20, 21 audiobooks since I started that new job in August, and I've learned that I can get through it, right? I've learned that it's an opportunity to kind of change things up and something a little bit different. So I am going to be quiet now. I am going to play a little bit of music and let you work on this. Feel free to write in the chat what you're writing in here, or just focus on writing this, and we will check back in and keep moving on. Oops, and I just realized I left, it says week two changes opportunity, but it should be week three changes opportunity. Sorry about that. Obviously, I was not focused when I was making my updates. And there's the one, two, three, reflecting on change, positive changes, and change as opportunity. So and Jennifer also popped in the prompts, the questions for each one of those if you want to copy those down. And again, remember, just go ahead and grab a screenshot. Yeah, Nikki's like, I saw that. You can always mention that. It's one of those where, you do it and then you don't pay it, you don't realize it until you see it and you're showing everybody else and you're like, oh, there's a mistake. But it happens. It happens. I figured you guys could figure it out there. So thank you all so much for thinking about how change can be seen as opportunity. Folks, a lot of folks talking about jobs, being let go, jobs ending that they weren't expecting, those kinds of things, right? So, um, and really seeing that as an opportunity, because it's easy to not see it as an opportunity, right? It's easy to see it as this horrible thing, as this really stressful thing. And don't get me wrong, it is stressful, but you're like, okay, what new opportunities are there? Because life is just, there's a lot of change, right? It's just one of those things that we will always go through. So if you can look at it more as an opportunity and see how that works, then I think you'll be in a better spot. So thank you all for sharing. Let us turn to page 44 in your journal, and we are going to reflect on our rose, our bud, and our thorn. And that's always so important for us just to take just a few moments to reflect on the week that we're finishing up here, to think about these things. I know if you're like me, you have a tendency to rush forward into the next week and you don't really spend a lot of time thinking about what has happened in this last week. So this is our opportunity to do that. So I like to start with the thorn just so I can start with the icky thing and get it out of the way, right? And go up. So the thorn is that challenge, that frustrating thing, something that's out of your control, something that is just really like, ugh. And I will say the spring forward on Sunday, I do not like it. It really kind of puts me in a funk for the whole week, trying to figure out the sleep schedules and those kinds of things. So I'm glad it's done, and I definitely like more light in the evening. But it is just, if I ruled the world, we would not be switching. We would not be changing the time. Right? And then our bud is something that's an emerging opportunity, something that's coming up, something we're looking forward to, something that's going to maybe make us smile, something that will be fun. And remember, none of these have to be huge, earth shattering things, right? They can be something small. So for me, my bud that I'm looking forward to, we're having lunch with some friends tomorrow that we have not seen for a while. So that is definitely a bud, something that I'm looking forward to. And then our rose is a highlight, something that we're proud of, something that we're happy about, something that made us smile. And again, it could be something as simple as seeing a dog in the car in front of us with his head stuck out the window, living his best life, tongue hanging out, excited with the wind, right? That always is a rose for me. I always love to see a super happy dog in the in the car in front, like especially we live by a dog park, and so there's always often a lot of cars with very excited dogs that are very excited they're going to go to the dog park, and I always just think that's so cute. But so for me, the rose was as a result of me going away from Instagram and Facebook. I did not spend much time on social media for the last couple of weeks. I was able to set up our unofficial Silk and Sonder book club with our first book, which is Remarkably Bright Creatures. So we started reading that, I think it was last Saturday or Sunday. So that's in there. So, and I know Jennifer popped in the link for how to get in there. And I'm hoping people are enjoying it. I am definitely enjoying the book. I'm listening to it on audiobook, so it is kind of fun. The voice of the octopus, the guy who's doing the voice of Marcellus, is super cute, super fun, and it's just been really fun. And the way it's set up, the book club is set up, is it's got it has like every chapter, so you could comment something after every chapter. You don't have to, right? You don't have to go in there and comment after every single chapter. Maybe if there's just something that specifically sticks out to you and you want to go ahead and put it in there, you can. And you can be doing this on audiobook. It's a Kindle, a physical book, whatever. Library books are lovely, like whatever you like. I just kind of like it, the chapters kind of broken out. And I did kind of chunk it out so you could kind of see like what chapter you should be on, and we'll finish it I think April 8th, so we'll just kind of take about a month and see how that goes. And then I'll probably look at maybe setting up a time for us to hop on a call and chat about it. I think that would be fun. But remember, it's unofficial, so the folks at headquarters, so Sonder, they're not taking care of it, so just know that if you ask them, they're not going to know. I did give them the link and that kind of thing, but they're not going to know details or anything like that. So just know that that's how it is. So rose, bud, thorn, I'll give you just a moment. And I know lots of folks are putting it in the chat now, which is lovely. I'll give you a moment where I'm quiet and you can work on this section. Feel free to put that in the chat, and then we'll check back in and we'll keep moving on. Right. So thank you for sharing in the chat your rose, your bud, and your thorns. And know that sometimes one thing can be all three. Right. When we were remodeling the bedroom, bedroom remodel was for sure the rose, the bud, and the thorn for several weeks in a row. And also just know that so sometimes if you're not quite sure, if you can't, you're like, what did I do this week? It's also can be good to kind of like go through your pictures on your phone and see if you took pictures of anything. Flip back again through your journal. Did you jot anything down? Just kind of thinking of those things. And this is a really good page to go back to when we do our monthly setups, when you reflect on the whole month. That way you have a nice little week by week section of some of the things that were going on. So thank you all so much for sharing in the chat those roses, those buds, and those thorns. And it also really helps us see that life really is kind of a lot of different things, right? We got some good things, we got some not so good things, we got some things maybe coming up that we're looking forward to. And it's great that we just spend just a few moments going over those. So now we're going to dive into that weekly planner, page 46 and 47. And I had these two little quotes on here I thought were really important to kind of think about. Is the one is change is not the problem, but resistance to change is, right? Reminding us that even if change is not something we want, if we can embrace it, we might be able to approach it a little bit better. And then the only way to make sense out of change is to plunge into it, move with it, and join the dance. So I love that you all are, for some of you, some of those thorns can be change and they can be really frustrating, but really thinking about how you can move with it, address it, and then find ways to move forward and look for those opportunities. So over on page 46 at the top, we are going to think about how we want to feel this week. So really kind of thinking about how we want to show up for ourselves, how we want to show up for the rest of the world. Maybe you have a word of the year that you've been using, so you want to use that. Maybe whatever word you picked last week you really liked and leaned into, so you're going to bring it forward. You don't have to come up with a brand new word every week. Maybe there's something that you just really like. Maybe it's something you want more of and less of. So one person had put they wanted to feel more rested and energized, less scattered and exhausted. I see some folks popping things into the chat now saying they want to feel vibrant and free, invested, healed, steady, curious about change. I love that. Lucky, adventurous, and creative. Yeah, lucky is a good one. We've got St. Patrick's Day coming up. I think is that Tuesday? Um, the 17th. Yeah, it's Tuesday. So maybe want to feel lucky. Here's some other things that some other folks have. They want to feel loved, healthy, 1% better, enthusiastic, refreshed. One person, they made a nice little, they have delight, and then they have like dance, read, pleasure, nails, laughter, health, sweat, sweet, sweat, sweet, sweat. I don't know why I always have such a hard time remembering if it's sweet or sweat. That's like from way back when I was in grade school. I was always like, is it sweet or is it sweat? I don't know why I do that. Anyway, I want to feel ready. I want to feel enough. So think about that word, celebrative, celebrative. It's a birthday, Kathy's birthday. Happy birthday. Yeah, sometime I'll have to tell you all my other goofy things. When I was a kid, I would come up with one. Oh, sweet. Hurts your teeth. Oh, nice. Thank you. I can use that. Excellent. I always need those little mnemonics to try to remember how things work. So I'm also going to talk about our goals, because I think sometimes if we tie in how we want to feel with our goals, the achieving those goals can help us feel what we want to feel, right? So maybe we want to go back to our intentions page. This is your reminder if you haven't had a chance to go back to the intentions that you set at the beginning of the month. This is a good time to look at that. If it's on page 9, if you want to look at your habit tracker on page 11, if you're like me and you do a really good job of setting up your habit tracker and then you never look at it again for the rest of the month, here's your opportunity. Maybe you want to set your goals through the lens of change. Maybe you want to do some no goals. So things like no alcohol, no doom scrolling, no more than a certain number of minutes spent on social media, no impulse spending, no takeout meals. Maybe you want to look at those previous weeks or journals to see if there's anything outstanding that you want to accomplish. Maybe you want to do some personal challenge goals like fitness challenge, cleaning or decluttering, self-care, a new recipe challenge. Spring is coming. Maybe one of your goals is something around spring. I loved someone had, I think this was last week, they wanted to be an intentional iguana by doing and stopping these 4 things. They wanted to create time and plan for each day with set tasks to complete, no excuses for not doing something, follow through, small steps to reach toward intentions and goals, change and adjust if necessary. I thought that was a really cute way that they had to tie that in, right? It's like lizard, lizard, lizard. So I think that's super cute. And then I also loved the stickers with the gal with the bees and the pretty flowers, right? You don't have to fill this in, right? Jenna, this week she's going to be a healthy horse. I love. Are you going to do a little drawing? You'll have to share with us because it's so cute. I love the little drawings. Again, if goals aren't your jam, or if you have, maybe you do monthly goals, so you don't necessarily do weekly goals, maybe you want to put some quotes in here that you like. Maybe it's some podcasts or movies or TV shows, something you want to read, ways to get excited about spring, 3 songs of the week, some topics you want to dig into, some new recipes, a mini bingo board. Again, lots of different ways to use this section. So I'll let you work on your how you want to feel and your goals, and feel free to share that in the chat, and then we'll check back in and keep moving on. Oh, right. So lots of good ideas with the feeling wanting to feel adventurous, which ties to the monthly personal intention to try new things and activities. I love that. I think that's a great, um, I love that you're going to feel adventurous and then maybe you're going to set some goals to tie into that personal intention for trying new things and activities. Super fun. I was trying to see some other little things there, folks, different things that folks are picking to do for that. So I think, again, I like the idea of my goals contributing to my feelings, right? Contributing to that feeling that I want to have. So then when we move over to our to-dos, I think that it's a nice idea to have the to-dos be those things you need to do to accomplish your goal so you can feel your feeling that week. So here's some examples of things that folks have done. One person has a need, a want, and a hope list. I think that's a nice way to kind of set that up. Like, I need to do these things. These are some things I want to do, and these are some things maybe I hope to have happen or I hope to be able to get to. We always love a good bingo here in Silk and Saunders. So we've got a little ta-da bingo. Super fun there. Maybe you want to divide it up into work and home. So different kinds of things that you want to do there. I also like the person who set it up with a don't do this instead. A lot of times when we're trying to break a habit, we need to have another habit to come in and fill that space. Otherwise, it's really hard to break the habit. So I'm not going to spend mindless time scrolling. I'm going to do something creative, which that was kind of my thing is I'm like, I'm not going to spend time on Instagram or Facebook. I'm going to make this book club and read the book. Right. And it was much more rewarding, I think, than scrolling on Instagram or Facebook. Although I didn't get as many fun little graphics to put in here for my socials. So there's that trade-off. Um, Maybe you want to have some priorities. Maybe you want to set up as weekly priorities, things that need to get done. Maybe you want to break it up into self-care, health, home, and then the course that they were taking. So again, kind of thinking about those things. Yeah, I know, Chris, right? It's like, I don't know what, maybe I'll have to outsource my finding fun memes for people to find little fun graphics for me to put in here. Maybe to-do list is not your jam. It stresses you out. You have another list there. So maybe this is a good spot to put in your gratitude, right? Different gratitudes. Or maybe how you want to be. You want to be patient and kind and vigilant and honest. Again, sometimes the best way to grow is to subtract. So here's the thing, you could potentially maybe take things off your list, right? So not drinking enough water. It's one of those where it's like, is it a double negative? I'm not going to drink. I'm not going to drink enough water. One of those things, right? Maybe kind of thinking things you're going to cut out of your routine, things you're not going to do. And then the habits and activities right below that, or habities, as I coined the phrase one time when I was talking too fast, um, is a good place to put some of those things that are very specific to the week. They're not necessarily habits that you would be doing every single day, but there's some activities or things that you want to do a few times this week. And this is a good little reminder of how to stick to your habits and achieve your goals. Defining your why, focusing on progress, not perfection, taking it one day at a time, using the 2-minute rule, tracking and celebrating your effort, and preparing the day before. Preparing the day before is super key for me, I will say. So habits and activities, here's some examples of things folks have done, and maybe you want to circle the days that you're going to do it if you only do it a few times that week. Some people, maybe they want it's set up with their workout, so they have an upper body workout, a core workout, a lower body workout, cardio, reaching a certain number of steps, and how many days they want to be able to do that. We've got one person, they've got their yay activity, right? So social media break, quiet personal time, took a walk, did something creative, didn't buy anything. I know a lot of us are trying to stop the unnecessary spending. So sometimes that's good to track. And then the one in the bottom, she's tracking some different kinds of food she's eating, trying to work on some very healthy specific things. So whole grain, she wants to eat 4 every day. So she's divided up the little thing and the little circle into the little graph there, proteins and nuts, fruits and vegetables, fruits, low fat dairy, and how many she wants. So that's a really nice way to kind of keep track of those things in a very pretty graphic way to look at that. And again, we talked a little bit about how that's different from that monthly habit tracker. Oops, it went too far. So I will let you work on the to-dos and the habits and activities. I'll play just a little bit of music and then we'll check back in and we'll just keep moving on. All right. Thank you for sharing the different things that you're going to put in those to-dos, the things you're going to put in the habits and activities section. I think that lots of fun, different ideas for things to do. And sometimes this is a good place, the habits and activities, to try out a new habit. Maybe it's something that you think you want to commit to doing on a daily basis, but you're not sure how that's going to work out. So you put it here in the habits and activities. You say you're going to do it 3 times this week and kind of see how that works. If you have some things from last week that worked really well and you want to bring them forward, these can be the exact same habits and activities every single week. It is totally okay. I almost always have pack my lunch 3 days a week because I'm in the office 3 days out of the week. And so I want to make sure that I'm packing my lunch to bring to the office and not spending money, going out, those kinds of things. So definitely a good way um, to test out some of those habits and activities. So let us go over to that B side over on page 47. One of our facilitators, Katie, likes to call it the B side, where a lot of times we listen to the A side of the record a lot. It gets a lot of play, but sometimes we want to flip it over here and spend a little time with the B side. And I think these little sections here are ones that are pretty heavily repurposed. There's a lot of space, especially in the meal plan. Obviously, some people use it to plan their meals, right? Or to track their meals. Absolutely works to do that. But a lot of people maybe use like an app, or they don't necessarily have they're not necessarily worried about the meal plan. So we'll give you some ideas for things that we have seen folks do, and there are lots of things that they have done with them. Sometimes it is more of a schedule at a glance, so their week, what kinds of, maybe it's a to-do list, if they've got a social that they want to come to, if they're meeting with a friend, those kinds of things. The meal plan for my soul, so she's asking herself three different questions each day. I'm going to answer those. Symptoms and health trackers. So if you're, tracking maybe some migraines or, some tummy troubles, those kinds of things, it's a good place to track that. If you've got schoolwork or homework or your lesson plan, I know we've got lots of teacher folks. Maybe it's some things you want to remember to pop in there. Scripture, a daily debrief, journal prompts, wardrobe tracker and packing list. This really keeps me from overpacking if I plan out the outfits that I'm going to wear for each day that I'm going to be gone. And then I'm much better with packing. I don't get quite so, oh, I might need this, or what about this, or maybe I should put this in there. Maybe it's a chore list. Maybe it's that national day of, today is pie day. So maybe you wanted to remind yourself to have some pie today. A garden tracker. Folks are working in their gardens, different things they've got to keep track of there. A little doodle, a little fun daily doodle is always great to use there. Again, one person changed it to appointments, and they have the different things that they have for each day. If you don't follow or subscribe to the emails from Ordinary and Happy, I highly recommend them. They are great. They have all sorts of fun little things to suggest. They have like a thing like for each day, and they'll tell you like, here's a good morning song, and here's a like meal ideas. But I did find they had this one. They've been doing a lot of decluttering because we've got our spring cleaning going on. So this week is going to be the bathroom edition. So on Sunday, tomorrow, we're going to toss expired skincare, makeup, and other products. I think I really need to do that. It's some of that stuff is really old, and I think I don't want to put that on my face. I have no idea how old that is. And then we can consolidate duplicates, organize the bathroom storage area, tidy the shower product area, organize towels and replace old ones. And I will say, if you have old towels that you're wanting to get rid of, a really good place is animal shelters. They often need towels for the little animals. And so I will often, once a year, usually I kind of go through, find some of the ratty towels, take those in and buy some new ones. So that's a good way, kind of two things at once. I get some fresh towels, and then the little animals can get some towels there at the shelter. Maybe we want to organize those cleaning products and clear the counter, returning only the items we use each day. I saw Jennifer also popped in the celebrate your week, each thing, each day is the national day of. So she's got lots of fun ideas in there to do those things. Here's some other things that folks have done: tracked wins and achievements, some quotes, word of the day, affirmations, to-do list, workout plan, weekly reflections. Again, lots of different ways to use this space because it is a nice big space. I'm going to go over all these on this page, and then we'll let you work on that for the remainder of the time. But we've got our mind body health plan. So again, maybe we want to have a nice bingo. Maybe we want to track what I am loving today. Maybe we want to keep it fun, and we have some different fun ideas of things we can do, like read a new book or get outside and play. Maybe we just have just a list of things we want to do each day. Maybe go to a movie, text a friend, wash my hair, thank a mentor, fitness, serve others, start fresh. One person, they have 4 things: strength, yoga, walk, and other. And then they drew kind of like a little line for each day for which one they were doing. Maybe you want to have some fun mood music that you want for each day. So again, fun ideas to do for that. Wordle for our Wordle friends. Feel and need, things how I'm feeling and things that I need, things that I want to clean. Again, kind of keeping up with that decluttering challenge there. Again, the national days are there. How did I nourish my mind, body, and soul each day? Excuse me. And then our shopping list. Obviously, it can be just a shopping list of things that you need to buy, but it could also be a way to track your nighttime routine. This person has a little list of all the things they want for their nighttime routine, and then they can check it off each day. I think that's a great plan. A packing list, a self-care shopping list, take what you need. momentum bingo, a birthday week bingo. I heard some folks saying they had some birthdays coming up. Maybe you want to do some fun birthday things for yourself there. A yay me bingo. I think that's great. A tarot card pull. Somebody pulls a tarot card for the week to look at, or an oracle card, something like that. Can pop that in there. And then we've also got some people use it for their to-do list instead of using the actual to-do list, the weekly to-do list on page 46. A social check-in. This is a great way to maybe check in with some folks, either with a text, a call, or a face-to-face meeting. Their mind, body, heart bingo, a fill your cup list, right? How you're going to make sure that you're filling up your cup, intentions that you have, chores you need to do. Again, the basic to-do list in that nice bingo format. And then the I am loving space is just for whatever you're loving, right? So we've seen things that people have written like discovering my creativity, the confidence I'm feeling. Maybe you're loving embracing change. Maybe you're loving simplifying, loving decluttering, loving rest, recharge, and refill my cup. Maybe it's a show that you're watching. So we just started watching, it's on MGM Plus, and it's called American Classic. It's got Kevin Kline and Laura Linney. And it's super cute. There's only been 3 episodes so far. It's on Sunday nights, and it's on demand on that too if you subscribe to that. But it's been very interesting. I enjoy it. And it's only 30 minutes. I love a good series that's only 30 minutes. Yes, American Classic. That's that little picture that I have up there. It's very interesting where it's kind of this Kevin Kline is this Broadway actor who is having a few little issues. He comes back to his hometown and is trying to kind of revamp the theater there in the town where he got his start. And so it's kind of a fun, it's been fun. It's fun to watch. Like I said, it's 30 minutes. So I'm always up for a good 30-minute series to be able to watch. So I will be quiet. I will play some music. And then I will go through these slides. Feel free to let us know how you're using any of these sections. Then we'll check back in and we will wrap things up. Right. Well, believe it or not, we have come to the end of our time together. I don't know how the hour always goes by so quickly. It's much faster than an hour on the treadmill or an hour on the exercise bike, right? It always just flies by so quickly. So I'm so glad that you all spent a little bit of time. Thank you for sharing how you're using these different areas in the chat, kind of what different things you're putting in there. Obviously, we love it if you feel comfortable sharing your weekly planner in Sonder Club. We got all these pictures, do all these screenshots from things that you post in there. So you never know who you're going to inspire when you put that on there. And Jennifer is popping some links in the chat. The YouTube link for the recordings for all the different socials are in there. Excuse me. She did also pop in the earlier the book club, our unofficial book club that we've been working on, that I've been monitoring, and that's been super fun. So feel free to um, join that in the Fable app. So you do have to have the Fable app, but it is a free app. So it's free to join. And then there's also the Pen Pal. I've seen lots of folks talking about the Pen Pal list. Thank you all so much for kind of sharing that. Again, that's something that I run. That's not anything headquarters does. You fill out a form. I will send you an email with a link to the spreadsheet so that you can send folks some fun happy mail. There's no rules, there's no matching. It's just kind of like, here's a list of all the folks who want a Pen Pal. And you can write, and people have been, I've seen lots of folks in Sonder Club posting all their different fun postcards and cards and all of that stuff. So super, super fun. So Jen will pop the link in there. It's snail mail, right? It's post office. So you could also obviously exchange email addresses if you want to do something via email, but this is strictly a list of folks and their addresses. So all of that. Oh yeah, and I know, Carly, are you doing, I saw someone is doing the crafting night. They're doing a webinar with the crafting night. So they're doing one on March 20th, and she's been putting that in the Silk and Sonder page. So super fun. So lots of fun things to do. Here's my Spotify list. Have a fabulous rest of your evening. I will be back again tomorrow morning with Bailey as my co-host, and we will be doing the setup again. If you feel like you need a little more time to work on that, come join us tomorrow morning. And I hope you have a fabulous rest of your Saturday. All right, everyone, take care.